Are you trying to find the best communication apps for businesses? Stick around. That's what we're going to see in this video today. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Communicate with Command. I'm John McDowell, your host, and today we're going to talk about the 5 best communication applications for business. Just so you know, when I attended the University of Illinois to work on my master's in communication, I actually focused on a couple of different specific areas, one of which was communication technologies. And so I absolutely love communication technologies. I love all the applications that you can get nowadays to be able to communicate electronically and digitally, and I'm here to help you find the best applications for business. Let's start with Skype. Skype is amazing. It absolutely is. It's terrific for businesses. Whether you're an employer doing job interviews or you're communicating with family, it's great. It's absolutely great for communication, but it's even better for business. Not only do you have the ability to chat, but you also have the ability to visually chat. Some of you might have used FaceTime before on your iPhones or whatever the Android equivalent is. What is that anyway? There's got to be an equivalent for it. But Skype is absolutely amazing because it works on any platform. It goes across platforms. No matter what device you have Skype on, you can call somebody else with Skype. And it is absolutely terrific. You're not bound by geographical distances anymore or separations anymore because you have Skype. And it makes it nice that you are visually communicating with somebody. Now, there's a theory out there by an author named Ron Rice who talks about media richness. And the theory of media richness goes something like this. So the more rich your media is in interaction, then the more valuable that communication is that happens through it, right? The more valued that communication is, the better quality that communication is. And I'll give you an example. Okay, so let's take, for instance, communication that's solely text-based. You know, if you were old school and if you're old like me and old school, and you had a flip phone where you had to hit, like the number 7 4 times to get an S or whatever it was, you know that when it was just text-based like that, it allowed a large opportunity for miscommunication. Even when you're texting now, even when you have iChat or something like that on your phone, even texting with a friend, you know that there's a large chance for miscommunication. Now, in recent years, it's gotten even better because we have more emojis. Before it was just a smiley face or a sad face done with, a colon and a parentheses. But now we actually have emoticons that we can add to our chat and you can see them across platforms. Didn't used to have those all the time. Damn whippersnappers. But now we have all these things like animated GIFs, whatever the hell you want to call them. I call them GIFs. Graphics. GIFs. But we have GIFs, we have emojis, we have the emoticons now, we have all kinds of options for us. Even the new, what do they call the ones where it actually animates your face in the form of a puppy dog or something? And then, of course, we have Snapchat now where you can put the filters on. But we have all kinds of ways now to communicate emotion instead of just reading the text and trying to assume what the other person intended by what they wrote. So that form of communication is less rich because we don't get the same value that we get from something that's face-to-face, like a YouTube video or with a Skype. So it really makes a difference when you have that richer form of communication, because now if it's video, you can see emotions in their face. You can see the facial expressions that they have. You can see the body language that they offer you. So it makes it a more rich form of communication. And really, video communication is the closest you can get to person. Next is email. And of course, this is a great communication technology for all businesses. You've got to be able to deal with email. But you can do this in a couple of different ways. First of all, you could have your own email provider service. So for instance, if you're a Gmail user like myself, then of course you can download the Gmail app, and it makes it nice if you get on a computer and you set up all your filters and all that sort of thing in your folders. Then when you're using the app, you can archive stuff to those specific folders. So that makes it really nice. But we're talking about business here, so let's go beyond just the native email application that comes with whatever service you're using. Let's talk about other forms of email. If we're talking about mass emailing people, then something like MailChimp would be really nice for you. It's a way that you can compose an email and then send it out to your entire email list. Like 1,500 people at once, get the same email. So MailChimp or something like that is really great for mass emailing. And then if you're scaling your business up, you want to go up in stages like this. You could start out with the Gmail. When then you get enough people, you want to send the mass email out to, instead of just a list in Gmail, you could do it with something like MailChimp and then compose your email there and send it to your list, because it lets you set up all kinds of lists and categories for people. And let's say you want to get even larger than that and you want to go into automation of your emailing. Then you go with something like Aweber. Aweber is one that a lot of people use. I personally don't use Aweber right now because I just don't have enough customers to justify paying the monthly fee for it. But Aweber, and there are a couple others out there where you can automate the emails and have it respond automatically for you X number of days after they first do this action, X number of days after that, X number of days after that. So you can actually set up chain emails to that person based on their interaction. It allows you to do all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so that's the second big communication app that you need to use for business, is email. The third big app you need to be able to communicate well with businesses today is messaging. And there are a lot of different ways to do messaging. Of course, you can message directly through your website, depending on what you build your website with. I use, for instance, Wix for my website, and then Wix allows me to live chat with people so that if they have a question, I can actually answer it. If I turn live chat on, you can turn it on and off so that you are, live when you're available and not live when you're not. But you could do it through your website, but there are a lot of other ways that you could actually message people with your business. So for instance, the GroupMe app is a really good one. I know a lot of groups actually use that. The Facebook Groups app is another good one. Of course, you can message through Facebook Messenger on your page. If you're using a Facebook page in the Facebook Pages app, it lets you message as your company back and forth with customers directly like that. That's a really great way to do it. GroupMe is another good one for groups of people at work. So you have a team, for instance, that you're doing a big project with. Then you can actually make a project in GroupMe and then have everybody join that project, and then every message you send to that, all the members of your group see the messages. So it's a great way to interact as a group like that. And then the last one for messaging is Remind. I think Remind is a really good app for SMS messaging. So you can actually set up a group and then have people text a certain number with a certain code, and then it enlists them, it subscribes them in that group's messages. So let me give you an example here. When I used to teach college, I used Remind. And what I did was I set up one group for each one of my classes. And then I could actually text that class. I could remind them, for instance, of an upcoming test. And instead of messaging everybody in a group, you know how you hate those group messages where all of a sudden you have like 50 people replying to that one message and you're like, who the hell is this? Yeah, it doesn't do that. It sends the message directly to each person individually, not as a group. So that way you don't have to worry about that group SMS deal. But Remind is a really good one where you can set up a group and then message the group, and it sends it out to each individual in that group separately. And that's a really good way to communicate as well. That's a great app. And if you know of another app that does that, put it in the comments down below in this video, because I'd really like to know a couple of more options for that. Now, of course, Remind is great, but I'm always, on the lookout for other great communication apps. And as a matter of fact, that goes for any communication app that you use that I'm not mentioning in this video. Please put it in the comments below so I can check it out and learn about it and use it for a while, and then I might make another video with more apps like this. Okay, thank you. Third communication app you have got to have for business is anything social media. So whether it's Facebook pages or Facebook group or Facebook messages, that's an absolute must. You can communicate through Instagram if you're a visual-based business. So you say you have a product or something, then you're constantly posting pictures of your products or pictures of your events. You can communicate through that, because now Instagram has a messaging service and they have Instagram television. I haven't checked it out yet. If you have, leave me a comment below and tell me what you like or dislike about it, because I'm going to get into that pretty soon and check it out for myself. But now you can message through there as well. Twitter is another great way to interact back and forth. All the social media apps are good for communication. The fifth and final app that I recommend for communication technology applications for business is Buffer. In other words, social media management. Now, if you have all these social media channels, it can get overwhelming if you're a business owner. And especially for people that aren't so technically aligned that they like dealing with all that communication, it can be really overwhelming. So think about investing in a social media management software. And for this, I really personally like Buffer. Now, Buffer actually lets you put 3, I think, social media accounts in for free, depending on what the social media accounts are. There are some that it just won't, even if it is within your first 3. But depending on which social media accounts you're putting in, I think you can add up to 3. I think that's right. And then after that, you have to pay. But it is absolutely worth it. If you're going to ascribe to all these different social media networks, what Buffer does is it lets you create a post, put it in Buffer, schedule it, and then it'll actually push it out to all your social media channels at that scheduled time. And this way you don't have to open up every single one of your social media applications and then post stuff in each one. You can actually just put it in Buffer, schedule it, and tell it which ones you want it to send it out to. It gives you a little checkbox where you can click each one, and then at that scheduled time, it'll send it out to those checked ones. It is an absolute must-to-have for businesses, and it is a terrific communication application for you. Well, there you have 5 different huge communication applications for business. I hope you use them. I hope you like them. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and click the little subscribe button. And if you'd like to, click on that little bell for notifications so you know when I put out another video. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you. I hope you have a terrific day, and thank you again for watching Communicate with Command.